Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Attaboy.
All right, here we are. We are back again. It is Saturday, October something. It's the Canadian Turkey weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. It's October 11th. Saturday, October 11th. Woke up at 3:30, I think, again. I don't know why. I don't wake up all through the night when I'm hunting, but when I'm home here, it seems quite often I'm waking up at 3:30 in the morning, 3:30. But anyway, I'm going to talk to you about something. I'm going to show you guys something. And Sarah informed me last night that she found another eagle feather in the layer barn. And I found another one this morning in the horse barn, and that brings us to a total of 9 eagle feathers that are showing up in our property. Inside our barns. Okay? Check this out. I'm going to show you exactly why this is a little odd. Check it out. Just give you a little bit of an idea of the layout of what's going on with this eagle feather thing, all right? So here's the horse hay barn right here, okay? And the floor right here beside Mom's is where I found eagle feathers, like right here on the mat. And inside this gated zone where the hay is, they've also been placed 2 at a time right there, okay? I'm still a project in here getting my barn finished. So, and this door is always closed. And now you can look over and see how far it is to the chicken barn, okay? I'll take you over here. Now look at this netting I have over top of here, and you can see all the fencing. They're totally closed in, all right? Totally closed in. No eagle feathers are dropping in here nightly, okay? And there is the chicken door, and that's it. And the eagle feathers are found laying on the floor in here. So there you go. Explain that one. You know what I mean? Explain that one. Now we're up to, I was just shoveling some stuff out of the horse barn this morning, and found another one. This is a little mulched up like the horse has stepped on it or something, but I found, that'll be eagle feather number 9. So there you go. What do you think of that? That's over the course of what now? I believe it's been a month. Has it been a month maybe? Possibly a month. And that's the grand total of 9 eagle feathers being placed inside my barns at my home. This got my attention a little more last night. I really had a discussion with Sarah about it. She almost got a little upset with me. She thought I was getting upset, but I'm not upset. I'm not angry, but I'm like, you can't just tell me, nobody can just tell me to be, it's a gesture of kindness. Okay, that's fine. If it's a gesture of kindness, that's fine. But all I know is right now, somebody or something with intelligence is going into my horse barn whenever they feel like it, and they're going into my chicken coop anytime they feel like it, and leaving things. That's what's going on. Sarah's like, well, don't get upset. It's like it's a spiritual thing. And I go, I'm not upset, but it's got my attention now. You know what I mean? As it should have anybody's attention. Do I think it's nefarious in nature, bad, evil, dark? I don't feel it. But as a natural protector, I'm like, all right, okay, you've got my attention. Who's doing this? And I do deserve the right to know who is on my private property, in the shadows, in the darkness, more than likely, placing eagle feathers around. Do you know what I mean? And it's not seagull feathers. It's not crow feathers. It's not grouse feathers. It's not peacock feathers. It's specifically eagle feathers. Here's 3 of them right here. Here's 3 of them. 3 of them right here. Sarah's got the other ones that she's found on her side of the house. The other one I just shoveled it out the door this morning, but I know, and it's illegal to have eagle feathers somewhere on the planet. I don't give a flying shit. I'm not picking them up and bringing them home. Cool off, Karen. All right. So, but I'm not about any bullshit. Obviously, I'm not a bullshit type of person, and I don't like putting up with bullshit, and I don't like dancing around topics. It's like, all right, what are you after? What do you need from me? What are you trying to get across from me? If you're intelligent enough to keep doing this smoothly, you're intelligent to let me know. Do you know what I mean? Enough's enough. Quit sneaking around my home. You know? Am I angry? No. I want to know what's up. Who's doing this? Am I going to have to leave trail cameras all over the damn place again? The dog hasn't been going crazy. The horses don't raise an alarm at all. That we don't hear the chickens going crazy. So that's a bonus. But you saw the netting. You saw the netting wrapped entirely around the open area of the chicken coop. Feathers aren't falling in there and then hanging a left and going 90 degrees through that chicken door, especially when it's closed, and ending up in the coop nightly. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people are going to say, just like when my knife showed up, don't get angry. Why don't you just say thank you? You're completely missing the whole point if you keep repeating that to me. Something or somebody with intelligence is placing an eagle feathers and trying to get my attention in my home. Okay? And I don't know who or what. Okay? Anybody should be asking questions. Anybody should be asking questions. If you're not, you're a bit of a dumbass. Right? So now what do? I said to Sarah, I go, I'm not angry. I'm not angry, but I'm a natural protector. I want to know what's up. What's up? What's the message? You trying to get a message? You trying to get me attention from me? What do you want from me? Let's just get it out. Blurt it out. Let me know. You know what I mean? Let me know. I want to know. Where are these eagle feathers coming from? The nearest place to get eagle feathers consistently is just through the forest down the bank on the Salmon River. There's eagle feathers everywhere along those riverbanks. There's eagles everywhere down there. But they're not roosting on my property. They're not flying over top of my property. They're not over my property. They're all down on the river, and they're roosting above the river on the banks up in those big fir trees. And their feathers are all over the shoreline there. They always are. They always have been. So that's more than likely where they're coming from. Have I had odd things go down in the river before? You guys have seen odd things happen to me down at the river before. Sitting on the quad. Stuff got thrown at me. Weird things going ripping across. And a couple people spotted some apparent beings or something watching me from across the river. Fine. I don't give a shit. Sarah and I hiked down the river. She could hear the crashing through the brush paralleling us. I couldn't hear anything. That's right there. And she also saw all those sticks in formation on the ground in the forest. She looked at me to say, come here, look at this. And then she looked down, they're gone. Is that something that most people would blurt out publicly? Nope. Right? Because you sound like crazy. I don't give a flying shit. This is a crazy existence. This lifetime's crazy. Weird shit's going on that we have been raised and programmed to not accept as real. But it's going down, and if it happens and I see it, I'm going to share it. I don't give a flying shit. Laugh at me all you want. I don't care. Do you think I asked for it? Does anybody in the world actually think I woke up in the morning and thought, what should I make up? I know. Let's start to make up a series of episodes where eagle feathers show up on our property, and then I'll put it on YouTube. That'll create tons of traffic and clicks and likes and subscriptions. Yeah, let's do that. Said nobody ever. Right? Anyway, you're welcome to throw down what you feel. Maybe, I don't know, throw down thoughts in the comment section, I guess. If you're just going to throw down, you should be appreciated. Say thank you. Save your time. Save your time, all right? Don't even bother. But anyway, I have the right to be a little concerned now. Somebody wants my attention or Sarah's attention, and now they got it. Now you got my attention. Let's take it to the next level. I said to Sarah last night, do I leave one of those white boards, you know, the ones you put on the fridge with a felt pen to write notes on and wash it off? Do I leave one of those in the barn? Do I leave one of those in a chicken coop? And go, look, if you're intelligent enough to go fetch a frickin' eagle feather and sneak it into my barn or my chicken coop, you're intelligent enough to pick up this pen and write a note. Right? It's an idea. Notepad and a pencil, I don't know. If I put trail cameras inside the chicken coop in the barn and leave them there, will all of a sudden the eagle feathers stop showing up? You know? And then just imagine, 1 in a million, if it was a human being doing it, well, they're going to be in for one hell of an ass beating. So, and you'd have to be a complete careless idiot to even attempt to come on this property or any of my neighbors' properties at the end of this dead-end road. An absolute idiot, trust me. You guys think I'm hot? My neighbors don't F around, believe me. But anyway, there you go, you guys. Now you can see what's up. Somebody wants my attention. They got it. Now let's take it to the next level and figure out why. What's up? What do you need from me? What does this gesture mean? Why do you keep, in a way, intruding in my private absolute, which is supposed to be, I said to Sarah, hey, this is supposed to be the safest place on the planet for everyone who lives here. That's what this is. And that's not really that safe of a private thing going on if somebody with intelligence is coming and going into the barns and leaving shit. Right? Anyway, there you go. I'll keep you updated on whatever's comes down the pipe. Now, what do we have? Fresh out of the pan. Today we got right on, Cooge. We have a reply from the Cooge. Right away, after yesterday's request for a couple answers. This email is titled, can you guys hear me? Clank. Answer to your question. Right on. Steve Cujo here. The short answer to your question is, it depends. And that question is what frustrates the hell out of security guards like me. But to some in the industry, they think it makes their job easier. Some see it as, oh, they don't want me to put my hands on anyone? Great, less work for me. But for guys like me, and when I say like me, I mean guys and gals who are not afraid to fight and have a strong sense of right and wrong, have a strong sense of FAFO. If you don't know what that stands for, you can probably search it up. And want justice for the victims of any crime. It really, really, really sucks ass. I'm going to try and get through this as clearly as possible without rambling and without confusing everyone. But no promises. For the purposes of this explanation, I'm going to stick with the scenario of a thief leaves a business with stolen property in their possession, and you see them and know they just committed a theft. And that's all you got. No visible weapons, no other crime aside from the theft. For crimes against persons, the cop or guard is expected to use force to gain compliance. But for a theft of unknown value, guards have to consider some things before they decide to go hands-on. Official law enforcement has way more leeway when this happens. Not so much for guards. But even cops are told at times to let certain thieves go. The example most are aware of for cops is letting the person driving the stolen car go. So here we go down the rabbit hole. There are two main things to consider when catching a thief red-handed. Appropriate use of force, and yes, you guessed it, liability. For cops and security guards, everything changed in the 90s. The good old days of saying stop once, then using force to gain compliance if they continued are gone. Multi-million-dollar lawsuits and the risk of innocent bystanders being injured made sure of that. And some of the changes were needed. For example, it's not worth continuing a vehicle pursuit of a stolen car when you know school is just let out and the piece of shit is headed towards the area of town with the schools. See what I mean? And law enforcement officers have a lot more legal and liability protection than a security guard because, for all practical purposes, security guards are private citizens without the legal and liability/financial protection that cops have. If a suspect sues a cop for excessive force and they win, the department pays out, not the cop. There are some exceptions to this, but the vast majority of punitive judgments in those types of cases are paid by the city, county, or state. Not so for security guards. You are on the hook if you make a bad decision and a judge finds you at fault. And so is the company that hired you. That right there is the number one reason security guards are told to observe and report unless a victim or bystander is being or has been injured or killed, or there is a risk of victim or bystander being injured or killed. Also, the value of what is being stolen comes into play. Unofficially, of course. The security guard using force to stop a thief who just did a smash and grab at a jewelry store won't be scrutinized as much as a security guard who uses force to stop a thief who just shoplifted a bag of socks from a clothing store. See what I mean? The higher the dollar value, the more serious the crime of theft. Petty theft versus grand theft in California. Thus, less likely your actions will be second-guessed, but if things go bad, it's on you. Now, regarding deadly force or just pointing your gun at someone as a guard, the guard better articulate that they were in fear for their life, or great bodily injury, or the life or great bodily injury to the victim, or bystanders even to unholster. And this info come from what they see, what they hear, what they are told, personal experience, anything you can articulate from any source. To actually use deadly force, that guard must not only have that fear, but it must be imminent. A thief reaches for that gun in his waistband, and you see the gun. The thief pulls a knife and moves toward you or someone else, things like that. In my opinion, the main thing that keeps security guards from physically stopping a thief, I think, is the concern of your company not backing your decision and knowing you're probably going to get thrown under the bus if things go south. But most of the time, they really don't have to make that decision because that situation is already written in that security company's policy manual. Unless someone's being injured, observe and report it to law enforcement. There's no guideline. Like, unless the dollar amount value exceeds this much, just let them go. That way, the liability is on the individual guard, not the company. Clear as mud, right? Bottom line, guards like me are going to try to stop the thief, any thief, with voice, command, presence, and, depending how serious the theft is, with force. If something like smash and grab crew, multiple thieves stealing high-value items from the same place at the same time, there's not a lot you can do except observe and report. You get involved in something like that, and you're on your own because there's no radio to get on and call for backup the vast majority of the time. I hope that answered some of your questions, Cujo. Yeah, it did, man. Excuse me, it did. Very frustrating. I'd have a hard time with that. I'd have a tough time with that. And, yeah. How do we even comment on this? A while back, this past season, we had a bit of a adult gangster wannabe thief out in our small village where we keep our boats, stealing. And I won't get into great detail, but I'll guarantee he's not coming back to the town. We dealt. And I guess that's a little different though, right? Yeah, I better not say anything here online. But anyway, I've just got a bad attitude. I mean, God, you know, it's a lot. Our boats, just an example of theft and how it affects you. Our boats are worth of value. Just one fishing reel on our boats is around $600 plus each, not to mention a $300 fishing rod that it's on. Our downriggers are over, around $1,400, $1,500, and everything's sitting on your boat, safe. And you have to imagine what you would want to do, how it would make you feel, and how it would affect you if you came to your boat in the morning, everything was gone, stolen. Right? Well, we caught the thief. He's not going to do that again. I don't know. I guess that's just my attitude, Cooge. You know what I'm talking about. You know, people do things because it doesn't hurt. Dark, evil sons of bitches in position of power and control, they keep doing worse and worse and worse things to the people because it doesn't hurt. It doesn't cause them any discomfort at all. No pain at all. Right? See where I'm going, you guys? People do things because they can, and it doesn't hurt or cause them discomfort. If it hurts and causes great discomfort, they're not going to do it again. Trust me, I know this. Right? Anyways, Cooge, appreciate you, man. Be safe out there. I'm glad in a way, we're kind of glad you got a safer job than getting frickin' shot in the frickin' face again, or possibly getting shot in the face daily from some absolute inbred, uneducated piece of living feces. Anyway, all right, I'll tone myself down here. Appreciate the prompt answer, man, and the knowledge shared here. A lot of people probably would benefit from hearing what you had to share today, man. Be safe, brother. Who's next? This next email is titled, Sasquatch Encounter, Please Read. Hey Steve, name is Scott. I've watched you before, but I lost track. You know how people get busy with life. My girlfriend came home the other day and said a guy she worked with told her to tell me there is a guy who tells Bigfoot stories and I should check him out. Well, I replied to her that after looking on YouTube, I know this guy and I used to watch him. I'm finally ready to tell you about my 2 encounters. It's been since 2000 when it happened and I've only told 3 people. I guess because of the fear of ridicule and or being made fun of. But here it goes. In 2000, I was living in Michigan and hunted about an hour or so as the crow flies from my house. The forest I hunted in was pretty big. I only hunted 200 acres of it. I wasn't north in the UP. I was in the lower part of Michigan around a town called Mayville, Michigan. I got up early around 3 or so in the morning. This morning would have no moon. When I got to the property, it was already uncanny. No wind, nothing. Dead still. I got my gear and started the hike down the 2-track towards my stand, which was about 400 yards from the house and my car. I had to walk down about 30 feet to the base of the forest. Let me say this forest ran for several miles. It was pretty big. When I got inside, I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. It was that dark. I turned to my left and headed for the game trail. Now, mind you, I always go into a woods with a flashlight turned on, but held down on my thigh just so I can see every once in a while so I don't trip. I walked a few more steps. When I got to the game trail, which I always took to my stand, I turned to the right, started down the game trail, took about 10 steps when, to my right, I heard what I thought to be a huge something get up. It seemed to me to be about 600 to 800 pounds. It made so much sound I'll never forget it. It startled the hell out of me. I've spooked deer and other animals. They always take off, flee the area. Deer snort at you. We're hunters, you know what I mean? This thing was just standing in the dark. I froze immediately. It freaked me out. Then it started to move. I could hear how big it was at every step. The weird thing is that it was trying to be stealthy. What animal does that? It was like so intelligent, it was like it just wanted to get away. It took a few steps behind me. I was so afraid to move, I didn't know if any second it was going to charge me. It would take a few steps, then stop. Then I thought I have to get to my stand. It was about 150 yards in front of me, so I started walking, and it started walking. I would stop. It would take one extra step, but stop, almost like it didn't know when I was going to stop. It was mimicking me. I froze again with fear. I'd never had that hair stand up on my neck before. This was really happening. I thought, screw it. I have 100 yards to cover to my stand. I thought, if this thing wants me, it could get me at any time, and I took off running for my life. I kept hearing it walking at a faster pace to the east. I got to my stand, climbed up, retrieved my bow, and just sat there, hearing it faintly walking away, thinking to myself, what the F is that? I got down at about 11 a.m. I didn't look for tracks or anything. I was out of there. It took me until 2003 to even tell anyone about it. I never went back there either. Now let me tell you, I have found some tree breaks out there over the course of 30 years, but I just denied to myself that this could be real. I would hear every once in a while about Sasquatch, but only in Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest, and British Columbia. Never would I think it would be in Michigan. Michigan's got just as many or more than the West Coast. Sightings, experiences. My second encounter, I now live in Indiana and hunt my girlfriend's mom and dad's property. And in 2015, I was hunting in November. The rut was on, and I hunted the whole day. I just sat there in my stand, and it was so nice, and the action was great. I ended up empty-handed, though. The sun was going down, and I prepared to get down out of my stand and head back to the house to grab some food. The sun was almost down, pink sky on the horizon. Anyone who hunts knows when it's like this and you're in the woods, it gets pretty dark. But if you're on the outside of the woods, you can still see. I came out of the woods and was walking in a bean field towards the house. There were leaves in the woods all over, so getting in there was impossible without bumping wildlife. So as I was walking, I heard footsteps walking through the woods right towards me. It was definitely bipedal. Then all of a sudden it stopped and I could not see what it was, but I knew it was just inside the woods. The hair stood up on the back of my neck. I flashed back to the year 2000 when I heard basically the same pattern of footsteps, and it shook me to the core. I immediately went to a crouching position in the bean field facing it, wondering, what the hell is that? Wild animals don't act like this. Most of them take off. They don't stand in a dark woods and stare at you. I just have never experienced it. I was gripped with fear, afraid to move. I knew something was watching me. It's starting to get darker out, and here I am crouching down in a bean field in Indiana. I sat there trying to figure out what to do, frozen with fear, when all of a sudden it let out 2 blood-curdling screams. It was so loud it cut right through me, and I was about 75 yards away from it. I could feel sound wave through my chest, and that was it for me. I took off sprinting so fast that Jesse Owens couldn't have caught me. I got up by the corner of the woods and stopped, and I listened. Nothing. I kept waiting for it to walk out into the field where I just was, but nothing. I remember that there was nobody at the house but me, so I slowly walked back towards the front of the house, got my gear all off, and I left, wondering what had just taken place. It's hard when things happen to you and you can't explain it. You can't possibly wrap your mind around what just happened. I still hunt there, and I go out in the dark to my stand, and after the encounter in 2000, like they say, you have to get back up on that horse after it throws you, right? Every time I go out to a hunting spot in the dark, it's in the back of my mind. I can't explain it, but I know one thing. Deer don't move like that, or any other animal with the intelligence of these things. And you don't have to be in the Pacific Northwest or British Columbia to experience this. They're everywhere. After this, I really don't care what anybody thinks. Thanks, Steve. I hope you read this, and if you want to use my name, it's Scott Seymour. Can't explain it, but these 2 encounters really happened to me, and I don't want another one. Thanks, Scott. Thank you, Scott. Welcome to the club, my man. Welcome to the club. It's pretty unnerving. Pretty frickin' unnerving. Like I said, I still haven't heard the scream. I've heard sounds. I got growled at a week ago, but I'm guessing it's probably a grizzly bear. They growled at me in that thick brush. But I haven't experienced that blood-curdling scream. You'd think with all the shit going around our property here, we would have heard it here. Or one of my neighbors might share that he heard it. They heard it. Not yet. I appreciate you emailing in, man. We need everybody to email in. We're doing a pretty good job at it. I mean, who knows how many tens of thousands of people. Shit. So much. So much truth. This titled, What I've Seen. Sorry I forgot to tell. There's 2 emails attached. Sorry I forgot to tell you my name. My name is Rob, and I don't care at all who knows. I received enough ridicule from other people. I just don't give a damn anymore. Gotcha, man. The first time I felt the eerie feeling of someone watching me in the wilderness, I pushed off the thought and didn't worry about it. But as my friend and I were hunting with our 22 rifles, we continued to walk for about 5 miles, and the feeling just continued to sit with us. I asked him if he felt the same. He said he did, but we kept on hunting and kept on shooting ground squirrels. Never did see anything. There's no punctuation, so I'm trying to make it smooth. We ended up going home that night and just thought it was weird how eerie we felt the entire time. And then last year, should be sometime in 2019, I was out picking huckleberries in the fall with my family in Idaho in the Caribou National Forest and felt that same eerie feeling. So I put myself in between my family and the feeling that I had in the wilderness, and I had a tactical tie holster on with my 9mm and noticed a hairy-looking man, dark brown in color. It looked like I could see from his waist, almost his nipple area, to shoulders and head, leaning out past a tree looking at me and my family. Not thinking, I reached for my 9mm, drew my pistol, and as soon as I did, he disappeared behind the tree. I was afraid to tell my wife because she would freak out, so I didn't tell her that I'd seen it. And obviously, I didn't tell my kids either because I felt like they would be scared, but I thought it was a really cool experience. And then last week, I was in the Ashley National Forest in Utah at the end of a road that was closed and felt that same eerie feeling and looked in the general area that I felt it coming from, I would guess 400 to 500 yards away, and saw the full silhouette of what I guess it was a male standing on the edge of some quaky aspen. I went to grab my phone and take a picture. When I did, he was gone. Wow. On this account, I did not see the giant person my friend who was with me did. Don't forget, there's 0 punctuation. Okay, you guys, so bear with me. On this account, I did not see the giant person. My friend who was with me did. We were stationed on call for wildland firefighting in Ely, Nevada. We were trying to kill some time because we had been stationed there for a couple of months, so we went up into the Cave Lake State Park area, and we drove to the end of the road, or at least as far as we could get before the snow stopped us. We decided to get out and hike around to see what we could see. We were probably 20 miles away from the closest other human. At least we thought. We had split up. He followed the road, and I went straight up the mountain. And I noticed again that same eerie feeling. And I heard some animals in the trees northwest of me, so I started to stalk them to see if I could get closer to see what it was. Then my friend started yelling my name. And so I answered back loudly, and whatever I was stalking started running away from me quickly. My friend said as we got into our car, he felt something was watching us, and so he kept on looking back through the rearview mirror as we were driving away. And he said that he saw a tall, hairy person watching us. They watched us for several hundred feet, and when we would take a turn down the zigzags on the steep mountain pass, it would come down and watch and see where we were at. Then in the next group of trees, he said my friend had seen them several times before in his military service. He was a para-rescue man. That may be something we'll cover in the future if I can get him to tell his story. He doesn't like people to know that he was in the Air Force. I didn't know anybody ever cared to hear these type of stories. That's the reason I never shared them. I'm only 35 years old, and most of my experiences with these beings has been within the last 10 years of my life. It seems to be happening more frequently. However, in the last 2 years, I've had 3 or 4 different encounters in the wilderness that I've had the same feelings and have eventually seen something. I hope this helps. The first story I shared was in Ashley National Forest, again in Utah. I apologize for not saying that. You said it, my man, didn't you? We got it. There you go. Appreciate that. If you're still hanging out here, it'd be good if your partner wants to share. I'm all over it. Don't have to share his name or anything. Just want to know exactly what he saw and experienced. That's all we want. Roughly where. Province or state's good enough. Who's this? What's this? True Encounter Story. I think it's a familiar title. Hi, Steve. I've been listening to your channel for a while now, trying to find answers and understand an experience I had around 6 months ago, just outside of my hometown in a pretty large forested area here in Ireland. I guess I'll dive right into what happened and not bore you with unimportant details. I was hiking on a trail I'm very familiar with because I thought I was going to lash rain, I decided to leave the trail and cut through the woods. I wanted to try to get to my car before a downpour, and I knew this area like the back of my hand, or at least I should have, and I believed I did. And before I knew it, I felt very strange, disoriented, and nothing looked familiar. I'm not sure if the woods seemed silent before or after I felt this way, but I became undeniably aware of how silent and eerie everything was. A pressingly downright suffocating silence, and my heart began to pound as I stood in place, and it felt as if the woods were spinning and closing in around me like I had stepped into something I could not comprehend. It was then I noticed something about 15 feet in front of me. It was 10 feet high and about 8 feet wide and a distortion. It was like something was bending the light and moving toward me, like a fogged up mirror almost, but with no definitive shape. But it was moving with purpose and intelligence and would be completely invisible if not for the distortion within, and me looking at it, and me directly looking at it. I turned to run, and I realized another was behind me, the same size and shapeless almost. It was then I realized there were at least 4 of these things closing in on me, and I was trapped and almost paralyzed with fear. What I was seeing, my brain could not make sense of, and I was in utter panic and shock, and backed up against a tree because I was terrified to run in the direction of these things. I curled up in a fetal position, put my hands over my ears because they had begun ringing. The sound was deafening. So I closed my eyes as these intelligent, bizarre things were all around me, about 5 feet from exactly. Whoa. I saw a white flash, like what happens if you're ever hit hard in the head or fell or punched. That's the best I can describe it. You saw stars. My ears were ringing in the flash, and then nothing. I woke up to rain falling on me, and hours had passed, and I realized this after checking my watch. Everything was normal, and I knew where I was. I gathered myself, checked for injuries, and realized I was completely fine. And shakingly, I left the woods and drove home. I felt weak and a little clumsy on my feet, but I was okay. I can't make sense of what happened. I've Googled similar events, but found nothing quite like it. What has happened to me, and I really need answers. I stumbled across stealth cloaking technologies used by the military while trying to find answers, and the technology is primitive compared to what I witnessed. What these beings or things were, I just don't know. I don't have answers, and I don't know what happened to me or why. If anyone has experienced anything similar, please share with me. I'd love to hear anyone's opinions or theories. I grew up in this area, and I jogged there a few times a week for the past few years, but I haven't gone back since that incident. I have no health issues, and I attend my doctors after the incident to rule out anything sinister with my health, but everything health-wise is fine. Good. That's lucky. One thing that did stand out was the ringing sound that pierced through the silence of the forest right before these things appeared, and it felt like my brain was actually sizzling in my skull. That and the smell of sulfur or something metallic actually frightened me to the point I thought my brain was bleeding or about to explode. I have no explanation for what happened, and I know in my heart what I saw was truly bizarre, not normal. They moved with purpose and intelligence, and I felt completely at their mercy while they surrounded me in that woodland. I lost almost 4 hours and have no memory of what happened during that time, if I just passed out or if something more sinister occurred. I'm starting to accept I might never have answers, and I'm trying to move on with my life, but it really shook me, and my belief system upside down, and I view the world differently ever since it happened. Said every one of us. I hope my grammar is not too bad and reading this is not too difficult. Thank you for taking the time to read my encounter, and thank you for your amazing work and channel. It has helped me massively, knowing I really am not alone in the strangeness I experienced. Your friend Darren. Please just use my first name if you decide to share this. I got you, man. No problem. I got your back. Darren, I appreciate you. If you're still hanging out and you've come further with your ride with knowledge, getting puzzle pieces in place, I'm all about hearing where you've gotten to. All right. If you would be so kind and generous to maybe email me back and again one day and let me know where you're at. Okay? Please. Oh. Okay, one more. What do we got? This is titled Feather Gifts. That for you in odd places. I think you meant left for you in odd places. Here we go. Finding feathers left in odd places from our friends. I, too, for some time have been receiving feathers, but only in places that I travel. The doors I most use in my house. Outside each door will be a feather placed specifically there for me to find. Going into my shop, there'll be one sitting inside the door on the floor. Now, inside my metal storage building that I keep my Aluma Weld, fishing boat, and 57 Chevy hot rod in, I find feathers placed at the door of my truck on the floor. I'm the only one that can get in those buildings. So I thought. I'm the only one with the key. I have a juvenile female that came around for some time. She's probably grown up by now. She eats my cherries every year off my cherry tree. The first year I almost shot her. But when her hair parted, I seen a face behind it, which always reminds me of her. That's an odd sentence. One more time. The first year I almost shot her. But when her hair parted, I seen a face behind it, which, question mark, always reminds me of her. That's confusing. Every time I see the mask hanging on your wall. I sent that in a long time ago. I tried catching with my cell game camera 2 years ago, but we know how that turned out. New batteries were drained and there was just a bright light photo. And the next photo, no cherries on the tree. She must have brought a flashlight with her and blinded my game camera, lol. So is this the gifts I get in return for my cherries? Usually at least once a year, I get a good slap to the side of my house. So hard, I thought the deck fell down the first time. I had a good friend visiting from Oregon with his travel trailer. Jim was on the fence whether or not he believed me or not about the Sabe people. Up until the morning, my house was slapped so hard, and his trailer house was rocked so hard. Jim thought a giant gust of wind had hit his awning during the night and almost threw his camper onto its side. I noticed that he was rolling up his awning when I walked up, and I told him of my house being slapped again. He told me about his trailer rocking so bad that it had to be the wind. I replied, Jim, it's summertime. What wind? What wind would be enough to rock your trailer house that hard? The same day, my Rottweiler Reno was banged up pretty bad with a knee and hip injury, and he didn't survive long after that incident. Ooh, that's shitty. I just wanted to send you a note that you're not the only one with getting feathers at odd places. I believe she's trying to be nice so I don't cut down my cherry tree for killing Reno. I just wanted to add a fun fact about feathers found in odd places. Recently, opening a rifle season, it started, and a friend and I went up to our property above Forest Hill. Beautiful country. North Slope water. Couldn't ask for better. Deer environment. It was like a vacuum. It sucked all the animals out of that area. No tracks, no droppings, no nothing. What I thought were deer movement coming down the slopes turned out to be, I believe, wolf travel tracks. There's a big pack around Reno. Oh, no shit. I believe they've migrated over into the Soda Springs area and down the headwaters of the American River. I'd like your input on how far these packs travel. Who in their right mind would think bringing these wolf packs back would be a good thing? The cattle ranches are suffering enough now. The small cattle rancher is almost extinct. When Highland prices took over for grazing pasture. What's your 2 cents on how far these wolf packs will travel? I spoke with the ranger and he said all the deer had moved down low. Then big bucks won't move until the snow kicks them in the ass. I remember during snowstorms sitting on a migration trail in a Jeep all day, just watching the big bucks come down when the snow gets too heavy. But these deer are moving down into people's yards for safety from these wolves. That's a fact. What's going to happen when their dogs are getting eaten or a child is put in danger? I won't get on a rant about this, but it bothers me, Steve. Keep it up. You're doing a great thing for people out there in the world. And Sarah, I missed your cooking recipes. Sarah, try this the next time you make chili. Venison chili, that is. Take some chili, put it in a baking dish, lay some good brand hot dogs on top of the chili, then cover it. 2 boxes. Jiffy brand cornbread mix. And when you have the mix mixed up, pour half a can of cream corn in the mix. Bake it in the oven at 350 until the cornbread is done with the toothpick, and enjoy. I call it John's Chili Dog Surprise. Remember to keep your powder dry and reserve the right to bear arms to protect your lifestyle. Sincerely, Hangtown John. There you go. Appreciate that, man. Okay, the feather thing. What kind of feathers were they? Forgot to mention that. They're all sorts of different flavors of the same. What's up with that? Then the wolf thing. How far do they travel? They had a collared wolf with a radio collar north of Prince George, British Columbia. So that's a little over halfway up the province. And that sucker went running all the way down mid-Oregon before he decided to turn around and come back up again. So there you go. They'll go a long, long ways. And they swim the ocean like frickin' seals. They swim from mainland British Columbia over here to Vancouver Island all the time. So do grizzly bears. And they've been doing it forever. Except when the mainstream news gets on about one, they go, oh my God, there's a grizzly bear was sighted in Texada Island. Somebody shot one up there actually a little while ago. They got in trouble for it, but yeah, they travel like crazy. And do they chase the game into the yards? Well, it's never come back here in the island. The predators blew up logging. Vancouver Island's one of the worst examples of clear-cut logging in the world. I'm not against logging, but I'm against poor logging practices. And they've annihilated all the first growth timber, basically. And they created a predator boom. And the wolves annihilated, and the cougars annihilated the deer from one end of the island to the other. So the point I'm getting at right now is there's still wolves. There's hardly any deer out there in the woods, but they're all in the towns. That's where you find all the big bucks now, apparently, is only in the right next to the towns in Vancouver Island. So yeah, they do... The deer do try to get out of the way of the wolf eating machines. And yeah, once they start eating the beef, there's no stopping them. When I was living in Pemberton, when I first started trapping the shit out of them there, the wolves were pulling the calves out of the cattle as they were giving birth in the spring and eating them. That's how bad it gets. And pets getting chased and annihilated on their porches, outside the kid's bedroom, in the backyard. It just goes on and on and on once you get out of control. But it is what it is, like mice in the barn. You just got to stay on top of it and deal with it, right? And I got no problems dealing with it. I don't give a shit who that upsets, obviously, because the people that get upset about you killing wolves, well, I never seen them out in the woods once in the 3 months in the wintertime and the winters when I was out there trapping wolves and counting the sheep and the moose and the deer, keeping tabs on them. I never saw anybody out there once. As if they didn't give a flying shit. Obviously they didn't. But they sure seem to think they deserve to have an opinion about keeping the wolf population down. Even though they've never been out there to see what's going on. They don't have a clue. It's kind of sad, frustrating, right? But believe me, I'm not the guy to give a flying shit what anybody thinks. About anything. But anyway, there you go, you guys. There's my video for today. We'll see what comes, see what happens. I don't know, maybe I will get a couple of those whiteboard things with the felt pen tied onto a string, and I'll put it on the wall in the barn in the chicken coop, and we'll see what comes from that. And then also I will put some trail cameras. I believe I'll put a trail camera at the front of the chicken coop at nighttime so that the chickens don't set off the freaking camera nonstop in the day. And I will put some cameras on the entrances to my horse barn, hay barn as well, and see if I can't get to the bottom of this, or see if somebody who wants my attention who has it wants to follow through with what's up. What are you after? What do you need? What are you doing? Let me know. You know what I mean? It's only fair. Okay, I'm out of here. Quite the ramble-bamble today, isn't it? Hope everybody's having a great weekend, safe weekend. And if you're Canadian and having a turkey or ham or whatever, hope it's delicious. And I'll be back tomorrow.